Hey friends, this is Jordan with O & Co Games. Our small team of 4, Ray, Noah, Jeff, and myself, are making a pixel platformer that is centered around satisfying levels of difficulty and compelling characters in a consciously crafted story. The game is called Tethergeist. You can play our demo and wishlist it on Steam, and welcome to our devlog. An old joke floating around the internet starts with a wife asking her programmer husband to go to the store for groceries. She tells him, go to the store and buy a carton of milk. If they have eggs, get 6. The husband returns with 6 cartons of milk because, well, they had eggs. That is what programming does to your brain, or rather, that's just how programming logic works. And it often results in really odd, frustrating, and sometimes humorous outcomes in game development. In other words, it results in bugs. Bugs are the worst. They can transform a task that otherwise would have taken 10 minutes into a 3-hour grudge match between human and machine. Working through bugs is a necessary evil of video game development, and the better you are at being patient with them and establishing a reliable debugging process, the happier and more productive you'll be. So today I'm going to talk about our process for fixing bugs in Tethergeist, and maybe I'll even share a few of the most frustrating ones we've faced so far. So bugs pop up in just about every step of the coding process for Tethergeist. When I create something in GameMaker, our gaming engine for Tethergeist, I'd say less than 25% of the time I get it working on my first attempt. Usually the bugs either crash the game or are simply manifest in the game playing completely different than what I anticipated. If it crashes the game, it's accompanied by a nifty error message that not only tells me what the bug is, but even tells me which object is experiencing it and which line of code is causing it. These bugs are generally super easy to fix, and they happen several times a day when working on new features. Gameplay bugs are sometimes a bit more tricky to solve, like figuring out why certain physics are acting strange, or why animations keep playing at the wrong time. Whatever the case is, I'm constantly debugging even in the early stages of creating something new in Tethergeist. The next step in our process where we find a lot of bugs is during playtesting. We, of course, playtest Tethergeist internally, and it's common for Noah, Jeff, or Ray to find a bug that I didn't encounter while developing because naturally they play the game differently than I do. Then we playtest even more with people outside of our team, and we find even more bugs and pain points, which we then tackle before releasing the build to the greater public. So at this point in our process, I've debugged tons of issues on my own as I developed the features. Then we debugged more as a team by finding bugs that I missed. Then we debug even more using our findings from playtests with people outside of the team. Is that enough? Shouldn't we be close to having solved every bug? Well, once we've been through that process, we release a new build of Tethergeist on Steam under our demo, at which point large swaths of people play Tethergeist and they find, you guessed it, even more bugs. So we take feedback from the greater public through our bug forum on Discord and go through yet another round of debugging before uploading a cleaner build. Now, this may seem excessive, but it's honestly a normal part of every development cycle for every video game and software developer ever. It's why AAA companies have dedicated quality assurance teams of people who do nothing but break the game in as many ways as they can and report the issues. It's why software as a service companies often have demo, beta, and staging environments where they can deploy their software before they push it out to the customer-facing production environment. And it's why we have a whole Trello board dedicated to tracking every bug we find in Tethergeist, the infamous bug board. So as promised, I'll show you some of the most frustrating bugs we've had to face in Tethergeist so far. One of the biggest ones has to do with our binding cinematic. In the game's story, our protagonist May attends a ceremony in which her peers begin a journey to a distant temple in the spirit state as a rite of passage. To May's dismay, she's not permitted to participate in the ritual because of her mysterious illness. I guess it's only natural that mysterious illnesses should arise in the code as well. See, the binding is this event in which the state of the town needs to change after it occurs. Villagers are supposed to go home after the ceremony. Doors are supposed to be open that weren't before, and the temple area should only show a few people. Well, up until recently, this was a huge source of pain. We had village elders moonwalking in midair after the ceremony, clones of NPCs walking around the village, and if the player backtracked enough, they could return to the temple and magically see the whole ceremony happen again, even though the peers already left. It also somehow made the mom character repeat herself every time you went home. Anyway, this one cutscene in our story, something that took me about 8 hours to code when I first made it, resulted in well over 20 additional hours of debugging everywhere else when all was said and done. And in case any of you are wondering, yes, I learned several lessons here, and future cutscenes have taken much less time as a result. Another source of pain in Tethergeist has been these moving platforms. They seem unassuming, but when interacting with all of the other mechanics in the game, they've proven to be quite a worthy foe. The basic logic for moving platforms is to track their movement speed, say something like 3 pixels horizontally per frame, time, then add that variable to the movement speed of the player. So if the player is standing still on the platform, they move perfectly with it. They can also run left or right on it, and the delta is calculated such that the player moves freely on the platform. Great. It's a little tricky, but not too complicated. But what happens to the spirit while the platform moves? What if the player teleports to their spirit while it's overlapping with the platform? What if the player is squished between the platform and a wall? What if the player dies while the platform is out of camera view? What if the platform carries the player too far away from where they've projected their spirit? There have just been so many nuanced use cases with this thing that it feels like just when we figured out the moving platform, someone on our Discord server finds a new bug with it. And we haven't even started including platforms that move vertically yet. Anyway, hopefully that provides you a nice little peek behind the curtains of our process for fixing bugs in Tethergeist. I realize I've sort of painted them out to be this frustrating, awful part of making video games, but I should point out that I've learned to enjoy debugging as well. It's like solving a puzzle, and it's so satisfying to squish a bug, see the game perform how it should, and watch as Tethergeist continues to be refined into the experience we envision it to be. So to all of the bugs hiding in the code of Tethergeist, I echo the words of Liam Neeson in Taken.
I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
If Tethergeist looks like a game you'd enjoy, we'd be honored to have you head over to Steam, play our demo, and wishlist it. If you'd like to keep in the loop on our progress, be sure to subscribe here on YouTube and join our Discord server. All of the links you'll need are in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.